Yay! So, as you see here, I said my independent variables were what time I leave and how much traffic there is, and the dependent variable is the time I arrived at NMS. So notice that how much traffic there is, I'm listing as independent. I mean, I don't get to pick how much traffic there is, but if we look back to what we said their definition was, a function changing one or more independent variables causes the dependent variable to change. So changing how much traffic there is definitely changes the time I arrive at NMS. So let's write that as a sentence. If you haven't already, the time I arrive at NMS is a function of what time I leave and how much traffic there is. Yay! Now we have a function sentence. So let's go look at another example. Ooh, I almost forgot. So quickly, we wanted to talk about continuous and discrete. Again, remember our last video talked about continuous and discrete, so these should be no big deal. Continuous, look, the line goes on and on and on, like there's no dots. This includes every value in between here and here. Discrete, it's just in particular points. So these are increasing graphs, these are decreasing graphs, and these are constant graphs. So that's like what we talked about on the last page, 2 pages ago. In our situational, these were increasing, constant, and decreasing. So when I graph those, if it's increasing, it is going up, decreasing, it is going down, and constant, it's going straight across. Whether it's constantly staying at 30 miles per hour or constantly staying at 0 miles per hour. So we need to use continuous and discrete in our explanations of these next things and talk about whether it's increase, decrease, or constant when we go to talk about it. Oops. So let's look at this next one. Go ahead and pause this. I want you to pick your independent variables, your dependent variable, write your sentence, and pick, is this a continuous or a discrete? Is it going to keep going, including every decimal and fraction in between, or is it discrete because you can only have whole numbers? So right now, go ahead and pause it. Remember, our 2 things are the number of goals we've made and the score. Which one is independent, which one is dependent? Okay, so we should have had this filled out. Our independent variable was how many goals I've made. Our dependent variable is the score of the game. The score of the game depends on how many goals we've made. So the score of the soccer game is a function of the number of goals made. Now, is this continuous or discrete? So, can I have a continuous line? If I graph this, could I have 1.5, 1.2, 1.8 goals? No, you cannot. So that means that it is discrete. It's discrete because you score 1 goal and it becomes 1 to 0. If you score 2 goals, it becomes 2 to 0. If you score 3 goals, it becomes 3 to 0. There can't be 1.5 goals in a soccer game. That's not the way it works. You don't get points for being close to the goal. You only get points for making a goal. Yay! So here's our next situation. Go ahead and do this on your own. Our 2 variables are the money I've earned and the amount of hours I've worked. So put those in independent and dependent, fill this in, and decide, is that continuous or discrete? Here we go. The independent variable is the number of hours worked. The dependent variable is the money earned, because I control how many hours I've worked. The number of hours I've worked controls how much money I've made. I can't just decide this is how much money I'm making. So the money earned is a function of the number of hours worked. Continuous or discrete? Yes, I can work 1.5 hours and I get paid for half of an hour, so it's continuous. Last one. So the time it takes to stop and when I press my brake in my car. Let's go ahead and pause it and put those where they go. Voila. So the time to stop is dependent on when I press my brake. So the time to stop my car is a function of when I press my brake. Continuous or discrete? Continuous. Yay, because it continues forever. The faster I push my brake, even if it's like a millisecond faster, should stop my car faster. Okay, that's it.